Today, I'll show you a better way to buy products. We use a method inspired by the design process along with a new way to read product reviews. You will choose better products and avoid bad ones. In the last video, I talked about how designers can read reviews to get great input for their designs. This time, I'll talk about how consumers can use part of the design process with reviews to make great buying decisions. First, I'll look at designing versus choosing a product. I'll cover a few reasons why we end up choosing the wrong products. Then I'll go through the selection method based on the design process. Then I'll work through an example based on a recent purchase I made. And finally, list a few other places for information other than reviews. Please subscribe if you would like to continue your journey as a designer. I'll do my best to share what I've learned. There's a big analogy between designing a product and buying a product. They both start with a problem that needs a solution. The designer designs a solution. The consumer buys a solution. And hopefully they both solve the problem. Actually, sometimes a designer will buy a solution to a problem. If it's not a core part of your technology, an existing solution is a quick way to solve that part of the problem. And designers do buy products for themselves. Think about the last time you bought the wrong thing. Maybe you knew right away, but maybe it took a while to realize as you used the product. Here's some reasons you might have made the wrong decision. When we're making a buying decision, most of us don't have a lot of time. We're trying to make the decision quickly and easily. So we use shortcuts, and marketers can use these shortcuts against us. A lot of these are listed in the book Influence by Robert Cialdini. The first shortcut is reciprocation. If someone gives us something, we feel obligated to give them something back. The second is commitment and consistency. If we've made a decision in the past, like buying a particular brand or product, we probably do it again. The third is social proof. If a lot of people are buying something, we believe it must be good. The opposite can be true too. If there are negative reviews, we tend to believe it's bad. Fourth is authority. If an expert tells us it's good, we tend to believe them. Fifth is liking. If someone we like recommends a product, such as a celebrity, we're more likely to buy it. And last is scarcity. If we believe there's only a few left, we buy so we don't miss out. This new method helps us avoid getting caught up in the marketing. It also helps us avoid using emotion, speed, or convenience to make our decision. I like to think of buying a product as hiring it to do a job. You interview a lot of products and then hire one. There are many ways to hire the wrong product, just like there are many ways to hire the wrong person. And if you do hire the wrong product, you either have to live with it or replace it. Both are a waste of time and money. We're going to use a rigorous brainstorming method to help us make a great decision. It's more work and it's slower, but by making a great decision, we'll save time in the long run. For big decisions, you might use a spreadsheet. For small decisions, you might jot it down on a scrap of paper. If you are making a decision with other people, definitely write it down so you can all work on it together. These 6 steps follow the standard brainstorming process. First, we identify and write down the problem. It's important to state the problem just as a problem, without any solutions. If the problem is clearly stated, it will help you on the second step, where we identify the criteria. The criteria describe a great solution. When I'm buying something, I usually end up doing this in 2 stages. I write down some criteria before I start looking, And then as I'm looking at solutions and reviews, new criteria will come to me. It's not listed here, but you may even have some requirements. For example, you might need a 100-watt equivalent of light for your solution, but you can write these down as requirements. The third step is to weight the criteria. Some criteria are more important than others and deserve more emphasis. Step 4 is to brainstorm solutions, which in this case are products out in the world. I look for as many solutions as is reasonable, usually more than reasonable. The more options, the more likely I am to find the best one for me and this problem. Step 5 is to rate the solutions. This means we rate them against the criteria as well as against each other. This is where reviews are helpful. Then finally, add up the numbers and make a choice. This process helps us make more rational decisions. It also helps us become somewhat immune to marketing messages. So we're more likely to choose the right solution. That last step, sleep on it, isn't an official step, but it's a good idea to sleep on important decisions before implementing them. This is an example from one of my last purchases. As the seasons change, I need to correct the tire pressure in my car. It's important for safety. I do have an existing solution. I'm just not happy with it. I go to the gas station and use the air pump there. This solution has 3 main problems. It takes a lot of time because you have to go to the station and wait for the pump. They charge for it, which adds up over time. And it's not very accurate because the gauge is lousy. The car shows me the tire pressure, so I know it's wrong, and that bugs me. And knowing me, it's always going to bug me, so I need a better solution. By writing down the problem and my existing solution, I already have some criteria. I want the solution to be quick, inexpensive, and accurate. So let's write those down with the other criteria that came up as I looked at products and reviews. This is a rating table or a weighted decision matrix. The criteria are down the left. As I looked at products and reviews, I added in reliable and portable. That way I could take it on the road. I also decided I wanted to adjust the pressure at home. If you're choosing a product with someone else, a discussion about criteria can be quite exciting, but you're more likely to find a solution that both of you can buy into. These are the weights. I've weighted these from 1 to 5, with 5 being more important to me. Quick and accurate are the highest weighted. For someone else or for a different problem, these weights would be different. You probably shouldn't weight everything with a 5. If everything is important, nothing is important. Make the hard decision about what is most important for the customer and the problem. This is part of really understanding what you need to do. So if you're fuzzy on this, it will be very difficult to make a decision. Now we get to the exciting part, brainstorming solutions. If you look on Amazon, there are hundreds of solutions for this problem. But now that I know my criteria and weightings, it's easier for me to reject most of them immediately. I always look at a lot of products and reviews. It would be faster and easier to pick the one that Amazon recommends, but I always dig deeper to make my shortlist. Give this process some time because you'll find ideas all over the place. At the end of the video, I'll give you some other places to look as well. As I'm doing my rating process, I read a lot of reviews. These are 2 reviews for a pump on my shortlist. It's a small rechargeable battery-operated pump. One of these reviews is favorable and one is not. And in both reviews, very few words are actually useful. I've highlighted these useful words. The positive words are blue and the negative words are in orange. If I was to look at the balance of positive and negative words, I might not think highly of this product. But now that I have my criteria, I can decide if these positive and negative words are helpful to me. Let's start with louder. Quiet isn't one of my criteria, so I can disregard the first word louder completely. The next one, accurate, is on my list, which is good for this product. Quick is also on my list. Automatic stopping isn't, but that feature is just part of being accurate. Changing modes isn't important to me. A sturdy attachment nozzle makes it more reliable, so that is important. It's also compact and light, and this reviewer takes it on a motorcycle, so it must be portable. The reviewer on the bottom says it takes forever. I do want it to be quick, but I'm comparing this product to going to the gas station. A bit of research shows it takes under a minute to adjust pressure, so this is very quick for me. The battery life is too short for this reviewer, but I'm only adjusting the pressure a bit. Again, research shows that the battery is sufficient for me. And for this reviewer, 4 hours is a long time to charge. But I'll just charge it overnight, so that's not a problem for me. The important idea here is that I can completely ignore both good and bad comments if they don't impact my criteria. For me and my criteria, this product has all good comments and 0 bad comments. Without my criteria, I might eliminate this product because of the bad comments. One final thought on that bottom review. Whenever you see a bad review, ask yourself the question, is this person unhappy about the product, or is this person just unhappy? I think this person is unhappy about this product, so I will consider their review. However, I think they bought a product that didn't meet their criteria. They should have used this process. Now we can rate the solutions. The shortlisted solutions are across the top. I'm putting the existing solution in there as well. Maybe these new solutions are better and maybe they aren't. If you're an innovator and you buy new things because they're new, do this. You might save yourself some regrets. As I was thinking about pumps, I realized that I have a bike pump with a gauge on it. So this is solution 2. And then there are 2 electric pumps on the right. The first has a rechargeable battery and the second plugs into the 12-volt socket. This is a fairly wide range of solutions, which is good. The first row of ratings is already in there. I rate with 0, 1, 3, or 5. 0 in a column knocks out that solution for me, so I use 0 very carefully. And I use 1, 3, or 5 to push the totals at the bottom further apart, so the answer is clearer. Let's look at the first row of ratings. Solution 4 isn't as fast as 3 because you have to open the door and plug in the cord. You also probably have to unplug it and move it to the other side of the car. For solution 3, I'm assuming I'll be diligent and keep the battery charged, so it will be very quick and gets a 5. Moving on to accurate. Both of the ones on the right have a digital gauge with the same accuracy and shut off automatically. The other 2 have very poor accuracy. The only one that can't be used at home is solution 1. That gives it a 0 and knocks it out. I'll keep rating it though, so we can do the comparison at the end. The rest can be used at home, so get perfect marks. The existing solution costs a few dollars every single time. The battery solution costs once up front, and electricity here is inexpensive, so they're about the same. The bike pump is the cheapest because I already have one. And the 12-volt solution is less expensive than the battery-operated solution. For reliability, I think they're all close. Sometimes the pump at the gas station isn't working. I can also imagine the small pumps failing. The bike pump is probably more reliable because it is a simpler system. And the last criterion is portable. The gas station gets another knockout 0. The bike pump isn't very portable, but the small electric pumps are. And that's it. By filling in this table, we're acknowledging that every decision is a trade-off. All of the solutions except the gas station scored high on something. So if we only focus on one criterion, all of the last 3 could be winners. But we want the best overall solution. So we have to add up the weightings times the ratings and see which one is best overall. And here are the overall totals. Calculating these totals at the bottom is a bit tricky. In an Excel spreadsheet, this is called sum product. I show the equation for the first column. The overall rating for solution 1 is each weight times the rating on that row, plus the same for all the other rows. So for solution 1, the total is 5 times 1 plus 5 times 1 plus 4 times 0 plus 2 times 1 plus 3 times 3 plus 2 times 0, which equals 21. A perfect solution would have 5s in every row, which totals to 105. With 21 points, the existing solution is very poor. Solution 4 has a lot of 5s, but they are in rows with lower weights. Solution 3 is the winner with 91 total points. This makes sense to me because it rates 5 in the highest weighted criteria. If you get to this point and the answer doesn't make sense, ask yourself why. Maybe there's a criterion you didn't put in the table, or maybe the weights are wrong. For example, I might say solution 3 won, but I don't have a USB charger in my car. That criterion is missing and would be a showstopper for solution 3. However, maybe you'll come up with a criterion that isn't valid. I could say solution 3 won, but I'm not going to get a lot of street cred for that. Maybe that criteria really should be ignored, or maybe not. It really depends on what's important. Filling in the table brings all of your decision-making to the surface. At least you'll know how you got to your decision. Just like for design brainstorming, there are a lot of other sources of information. Chasing down users in your community is a great idea. You might find them in user groups or in the real world. Users and companies are often concentrated at trade shows. They're a great opportunity to talk to people who are knowledgeable. Retailers carry a curated selection of products. However, they will only want to sell the products they carry. The overall goal here is to find out this information before you buy the product. You'll figure it out when you have the product, but that's a tough time to learn. By then, you've already invested a lot of time and money. So use the design process to make as rigorous a decision as is warranted for that problem. And by the way, solution 3 is the perfect solution for what I need. It is a delightful design and it lives in the glove box. Please subscribe if you would like to learn more about the design process. And if you'd like to start turning your ideas into products, please check out the Heroic Design Workbook. The link is in the notes below. Thank you for your time and attention. I'll see you soon.